All right, so we have a few hours before the big snowstorm comes, and it's gonna be miserable, you know? That's what they keep saying. So this might be the last video you get from me forever, you know? It might take me out, that's fine. But we're gonna talk about some stuff right after this. Welcome back. If you have not seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man, and this here Oliver 1755 is one we're going to use for compare and contrast. I was going to use the 1655 too. It's not right. I was going to have it parked right here behind me, but it doesn't want to start. I don't know why. It's a gas tractor, but it just doesn't want to start in this cold weather, and I don't blame it. But anywho's, the topic that is to be discussed was the differences between these 55 series tractors like this and the whites that came right after it. And what prompted this was, I've seen this discussion happen before, and it's happened now twice in the last month or so on the old Facebook. And somebody was wanting to know about cultivator mounting. What he did was he found back in the day, like of the 1800A even, because they all used this type of frame set up basically till the end, they made a drive-in style cultivator. And I think, I was trying to remember, I didn't dig out the literature, but I think you could get it up to 8 rows. And what it would do then is you drive in the tractor, it would kind of swing around, you'd bolt it to these pads. There were brace rods that went up to like your grill holes, and then the wings, if it was winged, they would fold around to go down the road. They'd like fold around in front somehow, and you'd live your happy life, you know. And so whatever. So anyway, the person found this, was wanting to know if it would fit on a white that came later, because basically a 1755 and a 285 are the same tractor, except the 285 has a Perkins engine, and likewise the 1655 and the 270 are the identical same tractor, same engine, Waukesha engine even, but different styling. And that is the key to the reason why stuff will not work. It has nothing to do with what motor it has in it, because people were arguing about, well, if it's got the Perkins it won't fit, or this or that or whatever. That's not the reason. The reason is the styling. And I can show you, behind me here is an 1850. This is a rather sad sack of an 1850, but it has the stuff we need to illustrate my point. You see how the frame is basically the same shape. It's got the mounting pads. They did make a special frame for the Perkins. It's a little bit different so that it accepts the Perkins engine down in there, but basically the outside is similar dimensions to the other frame so that all your stuff would interchange and what have you. Consequently, this is a later one because there is a hole in there to get to these motor mount bolts. The early ones did not have that, and it was quite the conundrum to get to those back 2 bolts. So they added that in, much like on the 2255s. They added a hole in the frame later on to get the oil filters, because you couldn't get them, you know. Couldn't change them once the motor was in. So you got to pay attention to how this setup is made on all these tractors. The cast grill comes right out here flush with the front of the frame. You know, there's holes in there. It bolts down. There you go. And the sheet metal is right behind it, and what have you. Then, if you also take note of the fact that the front axle, if it's wide front, it kind of comes out like this. Those are both important things to notice, so that when we compare in a minute, you will understand what I'm saying. So the big beef with, and let's go back over to the other tractor. See, my brain's thinking, and we're going to go down another rabbit hole tangent before we talk about what I'm talking about. But, you know, this one's a Waukesha engine, not a Perkins like that one we just looked at. The grill comes up to the end of the frame. The axle comes out like that. And the sidebar story I'm thinking of to tell you is the reason that this weight exists, or exists in the form that it is because if it wasn't for this base weight, you couldn't put weights on this wide front end tractor because of that part of the front end that sticks out. So and I don't know when they came out. I can't tell you that it was this year, or maybe this all happened just within a few months, but I will tell you, like when the 1800 and 1900 came out and 1600, these did not happen. These were not a thing. So you had your base weight, and then you had stacker weights on top. You know what I'm saying? You'd have weights, the little stack weights. We've seen them. I don't know where there's a tractor close by that's got them on there, but anyway, that was your weights. There were no holes in the front of this to put anything else on. You just stacked up, and that was it. Well, then, front wheel assist tractors, they had these weights, and you could bolt these right under the front of the tractor. But that was a problem if you had this type of axle, because this type of axle has that stick out piece. So in order to make that all work together, then they decided holes in this, and you put the base weight on, and then you put these on, you know, because these, the bolt pattern will bolt right under the frame, but you can't do it if you have that. And I don't think you could even do that if you had narrow front, because your two front wheels, I think, would probably rub those if you had them bolted right up close to the tractor. So that's a sidebar story is about those weights and why they are the way they are. It's because of the front end interference type stuff. But anyway, none of that would affect this cultivator problem that the guy's having, because like I said, it's not the engine type or the frame to speak of, it's the body styling that causes the problem. And to fully appreciate this, we're going to go over to Cousins and look at his two tractors, because he's got a 285 and a 270, which is essentially this tractor and a 1655, but in the silver sheet metal. So let's go compare and contrast. If it was a nice warm day, maybe we'd drive one of these over next to it, but I'm not doing that. So anyway, let's go over and look. Let's stop and look at this too, so you get this in your brain, because like I said, the 270 is exactly this with silver sheet metal, but you see it's the same as all of them. And like I said, I don't think you could, that would hit your tire. So you have to have that for the narrow front too. The front wheel assist ones, you could bolt the flat ones right on the front, but that's not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about why that this is set up differently, because if I keep saying they're the same tractor, what's the problem? And you will see when we get there. Well, I see it's luck as usual over here, but yeah, this is neat, this tractor, because this is basically exactly like what my loader tractor is, except this one's gas and like my 1650 diesel, and the loader's even the same, except this one's badged as a Schwartz and mine is an Oliver. So whatever, but that is neither here nor there. The point of what I'm trying to get at with this, when I say it's the same tractor, if we took the sides off of this, you would see that this was a 1655, with one exception. You will notice that they no longer have the cast iron grill. So all of a sudden you lost a lot of weight off the front end. And then also with our sleek styling, we ran out of room to put stuff. So what do? They solve two birds with one stone, and they make these front frame extensions. You see how this is the front of like the 1655 frame? It's the same frame. And then they bolt on this piece that drops down. It holds the grill, and it also holds your suitcase weights. So it's a combination base weight bracket and grill holder in one. You can't take this off and use the tractor unless you're willing to not have any sheet metal on or whatever, because it's all, that has to be there. The only reason that it's bolt on take offable, if that's a word, is because they used the same frame and they just modified it by making this. So it's the same type of deal, You can even see how it's cut out around the wide front, the bolster, or whatever you want to call it, the pin holder piece. Same type of deal. But then what that allowed them to do is not only have all that and integral weight bracket, but now we have this space in front of the radiator, where on the other tractors your grill would be right here, but they had room to stuff the air cleaner in there and make more room. And then they also, with their styling change, went back to, you know, this is all one panel, you can take it off real easy. Let's go look at the other tractor here, because it's easier to get stuff on and off. Doesn't have a loader, is what I'm saying. But here we go, 285. Basically the same frame, like on that 1850, the same Perkins style frame. You get that? You see the hole there again, and you see the same type of thing here, where we'll take the side off. Yeah, I don't think that anything holds his sides on anymore, so let's oh, come on. I can't do it with gloves on. Oh, I see why. Could have known. Alright, see how easy that is with only one thing? And then this one's got a spring on it. Kind of like the John Deere people did with their side screen and spring. But you see, it's the same thing. There's the end of the Oliver frame. Now we've bolted on this front bracket. And I would assume, but you know what you get for assuming, I haven't looked in the parts book, but I would assume that this is the same? Question mark? Maybe not though, because the grill should be wider on these than it would be on the other one, but maybe they did some trickery and fooled us. And this tractor's got a full rack of weight, so you can see how that works. But yeah, same type of deal. That was the same Oliver frame. Now we've bolted on this piece, which gave us our extra length for the different styling, and then we got a place to put our air cleaner up in here. And they were able to totally redesign or retool a tractor without making very much modification at all. You could disguise this as an 1850 pretty easy, other than the back end would look different, but, or I guess 1855, we could make one up that was just like this, but had the other style sheet metal on it, because, yeah, I mean, it's basically all there. It's just they reconfigured stuff to make it this styling. So the most expense they had was casting that style bracket there, and then just odds and ends, you know, the different sheet metal, 3 pieces of sheet metal. Well, I guess hood, 2 sides, these 2 pieces, and then, you know, that grill to do all that. But the core tractor is stuff that they already made. They didn't have to do a lot of changing or creating new things, you know. There were updates along the way to be the best of the things that there were, but basically it's yeah, basically what I'm trying to say, I distracted myself there. All of this tractor is stuff that they had already, and the same, very much the same for the 270. Other than the few cosmetic things, basically they're the same tractor. If you had fuel fender tanks, they were the same as the Oliver fuel fender tanks, but they made this piece where it would sit on top of it. And then, yeah, but you can just see everything is basically the same. So that's the difference. And this is my point. So Mr. Person, I don't even remember who it was or whatever, on the internet, who wanted to know, why can't I use that drive-in cultivator on a white like this? Well, look at how much space difference, first of all, you would have. That would only be the first of your hurdles. The second hurdle is this thing ain't got no bolts in front like that to mount. And even if it did, it would be stepped down and lower, so it wouldn't match up with your back plates. I'm sure you can make anything fit anything. But it's not a direct on bolt and go, because by this era nobody was really front cultivating like that anymore. And if they did, it was made to bolt on the total side of the tractor. You know, some of the specialty equipment manufacturers or stuff, I'm sure, made things especially for like the high crop versions of these and things to do specialty cultivating. So I'm not saying that that stuff's not out there, but by this era, most of the people, if they were still cultivating, had a rear mount cultivator, and that's how they went. So that's the moral of my story. Yes, these style whites are essentially Olivers and silver sheet metal, but they're different enough there that you could not use those mounted tools if they mount to the front bolt plate, because it's just not going to happen. And then apart from that, even, you don't have the place to run the rods for bracing, so that could be a problem. But it's just not, in my mind, it would not be, well, in my mind, I'd buy another tractor to use the cultivator so that I had a reason to buy another tractor. But you know what I'm saying. I don't think it's feasible to try to modify that even. I think it would just be better to get another Oliver that it fits right on. But anyway, you can see how they're laid out, which is something maybe people didn't know. You know, I realize they don't realize that, but that's the same Oliver frame. Your grill would be bolted right here, and your grill on the Oliver would be right there. So you gained this much space there, you see? And then that leaves you, by being able to do that, move that air cleaner out. Now you can work up here. You can take the valve cover off without having to pull off an air cleaner. You know, that was always kind of a little bit of a struggle bus. You could actually pull the valve cover off without taking the hood off, really, you know, because you're right here. So there definitely was some styling advantages to this. But anyway, like, the moral of my story the whole time was you can't put that cultivator on, and it's just because of the body styling. It's not because of the engine type or whatever. It's because of this body styling and the extra piece. You know, you can still see that front, same as the Oliver, coming down there. So that I have heard rumors, and this is because this basically, a 285 is a non-turboed 2105. They're the same tractor, just turbo, non-turbo. I have heard stories of late 1955s that had a Perkins engine, and guys swear that they saw them that way, they came out that way and whatever. I have never seen one in person. I don't know, but it would not surprise me that maybe if they ran out of something like engines, maybe they tried a few or sent a few out the door to get stuff gone. You know, I don't know. But I do know that if they had put the Perkins engine in the 1955, I think that they would have been better off in the long term, because they could have turned this up quite a bit and had about 120, 130 horse tractor, which is the range that they were really lacking in, because from the 1955 at 108 up to the 2255, that was supposed to be like 150 horse tractor, so you had a pretty big gap in the line. But anyway, that's one of those things that if only it would have happened, you know, who knows where we would be today. There's the man right there coming over. No, this is why I did this, because I thought at least this will be in the shed out of the wind, because good grief, this is ridiculous, man.
Are you making video or robbing parts?
No, well, I'm doing both. I was going to just take stuff with me, but then you showed up in time, you know. It's just like, you know, I won't say that, but yeah. No, that's fine. No, we're talking about the differences between these and the green tractors, because they're basically the same, and maybe you know that or don't, but basically the only difference is the body styling in this piece right here. You know, if you took this off, you put that Oliver grill right here, and it's the same. They didn't reinvent the wheel, they just added an extra piece, you know. But somebody on the internet was asking about whether he could use the drive-in frame attachments like cultivators and stuff on one of these, and you can't do it because of that. And you can't take that off because it's part of the it holds the grill and all the sheet metal up now, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, and that's something that nobody ever talks about. So I thought, whatever.
Well, I'm glad I had your.
I know you had both. I've got a 1755 and a 1655, and you've got these two, and they're the same thing. So I could do it all just right here in the neighborhood. But I don't know. Anything you want to add about these? I mean, you grew up with this one. I guess your dad buy it new. Is that right?
Brand new. That's the second engine I've ever had.
It had a factory engine put in it because this one, the other one self-destructed when it was what? Not even a year old, huh?
I think it was like 50 hours.
50 out, yeah. So see, and back in those days, that was probably what, half a season maybe of using it when it blew up.
Probably.
I mean,
it
was he planning with it when it blew up?
we were disking.
Okay.
But
And
yeah, he said that was a warranted engine.
From White. So now at that time, when he bought this brand new, did he have that yet or not?
It was here.
So you had those were the two main tractors then they had at the time, and then the 770, of course, which is over there somewhere, because they always had that, didn't they? Or when did that come? I guess that was used too. He didn't buy that new, did he?
No, it was used. They had traded it for I think a Farmall In or a Cock Shed.
Yeah, that could be.
One of them. And then the 1655 was here until that. Yeah.
And see, that puzzles me that they would have had a 1655 and then trade it, because those two are very similar in like that would have only been like they'd only had that other one a few months or something, or that just seems.
Oliver Combine went to a white combine. They
traded the green for the red.
Because I guess that would have been getting close to the time that Oliver was slowing down and White was taking off.
It'd have been about like 75 or 76, but that one wasn't new either though. So was it when it came?
It was like I'm assuming the way I understood it was low hour and everything, and then they got it. See, that was a planting tractor until it started doing that.
That's what I thought you said.
Dad was planting with it, and it started everything going on with it.
Did it come with that loader on it, or did that carry over from the other one?
No, I don't know about that. They did get a loader. I don't think it was that one, because the one that was on the other one was solid green.
Oh, okay.
Or it was a solid. It's a black and white picture, but it's a solid color.
Yeah.
In black and white, that would show up differently on the.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's the interesting stuff.
Now, that one blew up because from the factory, something was in the oil pan.
Like pieces in there down in there?
Like gasket material or something. Dad was thinking it was like when they changed the braking oil out of it, whatever, it was like pieces of jug or like the seal on top of it. Because it plugged up the...
It sucked up in there and shut off the oil.
And it ran out of oil and it just locked,
Well, good thing they warranted it though.
it locked it up tight.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably, let's see, that would have been, what year was this, maybe 82, this tractor? I don't remember either. So that was probably like, what, 15 years before you were even born? I don't know. It was
yeah, it was.
Because that was before I was even born.
The only no, it's got to be newer than that.
Maybe it could have been. No, it wouldn't even.
I wasn't born yet.
It wouldn't be. It'd be older than that, because it wouldn't be. It would probably be a. I don't know.
I was thinking he said like in 89 or 87.
We'll have to see what the. It's on the other side, of course, but.
You might be easier stepping over the corn plant or something.
Oh yeah, you got fuel tank fender. Yeah, but we can look at that too, because I was talking about that. Here's a set of the white fuel fenders. They're the same as the Oliver fuel fenders, but then instead of the white caps on the end, they made this piece where it just literally sits down on there and screws to it, and so they're the same thing underneath. But
here's the other one. Well, there's your fuel tank fender without the white piece on it.
oh yeah, there you go. You can see they look exactly like that underneath on the green ones. So they didn't make it. They didn't make new stuff unless they absolutely had to. They tried to reuse tooling and designs they had already. And I forgot why I came over here. Now I remember. Serial number. So, oh, this has got a big long thing. Here we go. Okay. Let's see here. 285.
And I don't believe he bought, this one was brand new sitting on the lot.
Oh, really?
It sat there for a little while.
So maybe it was bought later than what it actually is.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't come off the line and come here. But it sat in Brownstown on the dealer lot for...
Brownstown? You mean...
Is that where the Oliver dealer was?
It was in Seymour. It was by the... like where the premier offices are now. That's where it was. It was down there.
Wherever Grandpa worked, I swore it was.
Yeah, no, that's where he worked. He worked at Co-op there.
Well, it sat on that lot then.
Oh, they don't have the serial numbers of them on the internet? That's crap. Huh.
Because he was tied between this, and I think it was like a... It was neck size up, but it had a cab.
Really? Yeah. Oh, like a 2105 with a cab?
It was a 2105, but see, they wanted a cab for some reasons, but all the years without a cab, they couldn't, you know.
He'd have probably liked the 2105 a little better, but who knows. 281 would be a 1977. That's what I thought. Silver Stripes were, so, and then they went up till 82. So he could have bought this in 80 or 82, and it could be an older model. I mean, that's possible, I guess, and it was still a brand new tractor. But
I mean, yeah, it was sitting on the lot. He didn't order it,
yeah.
And it was.
But that's.
But he said this was the only tractor he ever bought new.
And then, yeah, your dad bought it new. Yeah. And then this is, I'm trying to think here, how much of this did you repaint and how much is original?
This is original.
The sides are original?
These were so expensive.
Yeah. And then you painted the hood.
I painted this because it was rusty, the top of
the fenders.
The fenders and the top of the canopy.
Okay. So not even the black is original then, huh?
Black's original.
So.
See, the paint, it was real good, and then it sat outside over the winter one time.
Oh, really?
Dad busted that steering box out of it.
Uh-huh.
And it was right during fall time, you hit a tile hole.
Uh-huh.
And it sat out all winter long, and then most of that next summer. And I remember as a little kid that the paint just went to, I mean.
Really? Oh, that's crap.
The tops of everything.
What was the holdup of having it fixed? Like, did they come get it, or what happened?
I was around, so I was old enough to remember. He was in the verge of not wanting to farm.
Oh, so he
thought about not even fixing it. He just retiring completely.
Just leave it sit out there, huh? That'd have been one of those. That'd have been one of those you see all the time, and you wonder why they would leave a good tractor sit for a long time. And
because he borrowed a neighbor's tractor, then I know that next spring to plant.
That's interesting. So that would have been. What year do you think that would have been? 2000 something?
When he quit?
Yeah, what year would that have been?
08 or 09.
Okay, so not that long ago. Because then there was a couple years.
When my grandpa passed,
that's when he was over it, huh?
He did one fall after that, and that was it. He quit. He rented it all out, and then when
that's what I was gonna say. There were several years where he rented it all out, and then.
And then whenever it would have been probably 10. It was either 10 or 11 when he got real sick and went in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, he almost died.
Yeah.
Then he wanted to get everything going again because when he was in the hospital, I got a bunch of this going.
Uh-huh.
Because he wanted to show me what to do with all this old stuff. And then he farmed for 2 years after that, then I took it over completely.
Okay. Well, there you go. One owner tractor, still here. And that one's probably a two owner tractor, yeah.
Second owner. Grandpa, he knew the guy that bought it brand new. And it got sold brand new here in town too.
That's what I figured. Because his grandpa, if you don't know, he worked at the dealer, I think putting stuff together, the way I understood, like when they got the equipment in on pallets, you know, like a disc. And then he'd sit there and put it together.
That's where our deals come from.
Yeah. You get a bunch of stuff that...
I mean, that gravity wagon, them were bought new here.
Really?
We got 2 twins of them.
Huh.
Got the sale bill on that. And I think the baler.
The Oliver baler, yeah, that could be. That could be. And the 770 came as a trade, but I don't know.
And the combine.
Oh yeah,
it was
yeah.
Over here, brand spanking.
The red 7300 combine. Pretty cool. So yeah.
No, I do wish these were even more similar though. Because whenever I was wanting to put a diesel in that one, that was my holdup.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you can't put a Perkins in a Waukesha tub. But that would have ruined it. A 270 gas is harder to find than a 270 diesel.
Hard to keep tires on it too.
Well, I noticed that when we pulled up. That's a brand new tire, isn't it? That's crazy. But whatever. It's probably getting about babysitting time, so it's just about time for me to leave. But we got our field trip successfully, and hopefully people see what I'm talking about. But there's the only real difference, you know. If you stripped away that piece and all the sheet metal, it's basically an Oliver underneath. I mean,
what would this be?
Well, it would be kind of a cross because they never made a 17, 18, or 1955 with a Perkins. So it would have been like the front half of an 1850 and the back half of a 17 or 1855, you know. But this is what, in my opinion, that's what I said when you were pulling up here. They should have put this motor in the 1955 with a turbo, and they could have turned it up to like 125 or 130 horse, and that would have been the perfect size, because they didn't have anything from 108 all the way up to 150. There was basically a gap. Then when they came out with these whites, then they started adding sizes in between, like 2 135s and whatever. But in the Oliver line, they had a pretty big gap. They did have some Moline, half Moline cross things that they sold, but they were, I don't know. I just don't know a lot of Oliver people who really bought into that. If you could find one now, they're super rare. Like, what did they call those? 1865s and 2055s and just...
Like a 22.
The 2255 was the 150 horse Oliver built just like this cast iron tub thing. Yeah. So,
I've got some 4A in there.
yeah, there you go. Anyway, well, we're going to leave this one here. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Do you suffer from low intelligence and are easily entertained? Well, then hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment. And that way we can keep making entertainment that your feeble minds can understand. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.